Part 1. Trapped in the ice. Imagine this. You're trapped. Completely cut off. The snow's piling up. The wind's howling. Escape impossible. Now imagine someone in that cabin is a killer. That's the chilling scenario we're exploring. A classic lockroom mystery set against a raging blizzard. Welcome to the Snowfall Murders. Our story begins with 5 strangers. The diary reveals Elias Thorne's obsession with the occult, his belief in ancient rituals, and his desperate desire for immortality. He details a specific ritual, a gruesome sacrifice, a convergence of celestial energies that he believes will grant him transcendence. He speaks of a hidden chamber beneath the cabin, a place of power where the veil between worlds is thin. He writes of a key, an artifact of immense power, necessary to unlock the gateway. But the key, he explains, is not a physical object. It's something else. Professor Vance's blood runs cold. The diary entries become increasingly erratic, filled with paranoia and a growing sense of desperation. Thorne's obsession has consumed him, twisting his mind, making him believe he is chosen, destined for greatness. He mentions a specific date for the ritual, a date that is alarmingly close. As she reads on, she discovers a chilling detail. Thorne describes the sacrifice needed for the ritual, a pure bloodline, a descendant of the original family, a vessel for the ancient energies. He writes about a child, a young girl, born with a unique mark, a symbol of their lineage, a mark like the one Clara Bellwether has on her wrist. Professor Vance's heart pounds in her chest. Clara, could she be the descendant? Is she the key? She looks up from the diary, her eyes darting around the attic, searching for any other clues. She finds a faded photograph, tucked between the pages of a book. It's a picture of a young girl, her face obscured by shadows. But on her wrist, clearly visible, is the same mark as Clara's. The truth is beginning to unravel, but the pieces don't quite fit. Thorne's diary ends abruptly, the last entry filled with a frantic scribbling, a mention of a betrayal, a fear that someone is trying to stop him. He writes about hiding the true key, a safeguard against those who would steal his power. The true key. What is it, and where is it hidden? Professor Vance knows she has to get out of the attic, warn the others. But as she turns to leave, she hears a sound, a soft, almost imperceptible click. The attic door. It's been locked. She's trapped. She whirls around, her eyes scanning the shadows. She's not alone. A figure emerges from the darkness, their face obscured by a hooded cloak. It's Samuel Thorne. But something is different. He moves with an unnatural grace, his eyes glowing with an eerie light. "You've discovered my secrets," he says, his voice a low, menacing growl. But it's too late. The ritual is about to begin. Professor Vance stares at him, her mind reeling. "You're not Thorne," she says. "You're someone else." Thorne laughs, a chilling sound that echoes through the attic. "I am Thorne," he says. "I am reborn. I am immortal." He raises his hand, revealing a small, intricately carved box made of a dark, unknown wood. It's the box Thorne wrote about in his diary, the box that contains the true key. The key isn't a physical object, Professor Vance says, her voice trembling. It's a person. It's Clara. Thorne smiles a cruel, triumphant smile. "You're right," he says. "But Clara is no longer needed. I have found a new vessel." He gestures towards the shadows, and another figure emerges. It's Clara Bellwether, but she's different. Her eyes are vacant, her face pale, her movements robotic. She's under Thorne's control. She has the mark, Thorne says. She has the bloodline. She is the key. He opens the box, revealing not a key but a small, intricately carved skull, made of the same dark wood. It's identical to the skull Professor Vance saw earlier. This, Thorne says, holding up the skull, is the vessel for Thorne's essence. It will allow me to transfer my consciousness, to become truly immortal. He turns to Clara, his eyes glowing with an almost hypnotic intensity. "The ritual is about to begin," he whispers. "You will be the vessel. You will be—" Thorn, Clara, her eyes lifeless, steps forward, her movements mechanical. She extends her hand, her fingers reaching for the skull. Professor Vance watches in horror, realizing the true horror of Thorn's plan. He's not just seeking immortality. He's seeking to possess Clara, to use her body as a vessel for his twisted soul. She has to stop him. But how? She's trapped unarmed, facing a seemingly immortal madman. And then, she remembers something Thorn said. The key isn't a physical object, she had said. It's a person. She looks at Clara, at the vacant expression on her face. She realizes the truth. The key isn't just Clara's bloodline. It's her will. It's her humanity. It's the part of her that Thorn can't control. She has to reach her, to break through his control, to awaken the part of Clara that is still alive. But how? How can she fight against such a powerful evil, such a twisted obsession? And then, she remembers something else. The scent. The faint scent of old spice and wood smoke that Clara had recognized. The scent of her father. Her father. What did he have to do with all of this? What was his connection to Thorn, to the cabin, to the ancient evil? The answer is there, hidden somewhere in the past, in the secrets of the cabin, in the twisted story of the Thorn family. She just needs to find it. She just needs to remember. And then it hits her, a memory, a fleeting image, a whispered conversation she had overheard years ago. Her father, he wasn't just an ordinary man. He was a descendant of the Thorn family. He wasn't just a victim. He was involved. The truth is finally revealed. Clara Bellwether, she wasn't just Elias Thorn's descendant. She was also Professor Vance's cousin. The realization hits her like a ton of bricks. The pieces of the puzzle fall into place. The motive, the connection, the terrifying truth. Thorn isn't just seeking immortality. He's seeking revenge. Revenge against the Thorn family, against the bloodline that betrayed him, against the descendants who stole his birthright. And Clara, she's not just a vessel. She's the final piece of his plan, the ultimate sacrifice. Professor Vance looks at Clara, her eyes filled with a desperate plea. She has to save her. She has to break Thorn's control, to awaken the part of Clara that is still alive. But how? How can she fight against such a powerful evil, such a twisted obsession? And then, she remembers the words of the cryptic message. The truth lies in the past. She knows what she has to do. She has to go back. She has to delve deeper into the past, into the secrets of the Thorn family, into the dark history of the cabin. She has to find the truth, the whole truth. The truth that will finally reveal the identity of the killer. The truth that will finally break the curse. And she has to do it quickly, because the ritual is about to begin, and Clara's life hangs in the balance. The truth crashes down on Professor Vance, like the blizzard outside. Clara is family. Thorn isn't just power-hungry. He's driven by centuries of resentment, a thirst for vengeance passed down through generations. He sees Clara as the ultimate symbol of the Thorn family's betrayal, the last piece in his twisted puzzle of retribution. Thorn, oblivious to Vance's revelation, prepares the ritual. He places the skull on a pedestal. It's dark with gleaming under the flickering candlelight. Clara, still under his control, stands beside him, her eyes vacant, her spirit lost. "The time has come," Thorn announces, his voice echoing through the attic. "The bloodline will pay for their sins. Thorn will rise again." He begins the incantation, the ancient words resonating with an unholy power. The air crackles with energy. The temperature drops, and the wind outside howls with renewed ferocity. The storm seems to mirror the chaos unfolding within the cabin. Professor Vance knows she has to act now. She can't fight Thorn physically. He's too strong, too consumed by his obsession. She has to use her mind, her knowledge, her connection to Clara. She has to reach her, break through the control, awaken the dormant spirit within. She looks at Clara, her cousin, her family. She sees a flicker of something in her vacant eyes, a hint of recognition, a spark of humanity. It's faint, almost imperceptible, but it's there. "Clara," Vance shouts, her voice cutting through Thorne's chanting. "Clara, can you hear me?" Thorne glares at her, his face contorted with rage. "Silence," he commands. The ritual is about to begin, but Vance ignores him. She focuses on Clara, her voice filled with urgency, with emotion. "Clara, it's me, Eleanor. We're family. Don't let him do this to you. Don't let him take control." Clara's eyes flicker again, a stronger spark this time. She turns her head slightly, as if trying to focus on Vance's voice. "He's lying to you, Clara," Vance continues. "He doesn't want to transcend. He wants to possess you. He wants to use your body, your blood, your life." Thorne lunges at Vance, his hand raised to strike her, but Clara steps in front of her, blocking his blow. The force of his attack sends her staggering back, but she doesn't fall. She looks at Thorne, her eyes no longer vacant, but filled with a fierce determination. "You lied to me," she says, her voice trembling but firm. "You promised me power, immortality. But you only wanted to use me." Thorne stares at her, his face a mask of confusion. You're resisting me?" Clara nods, her eyes flashing with anger. "I'm not your vessel," she says. "I'm not your sacrifice. I'm Clara Bellwether, and I will not be controlled." She turns to Vance, her eyes filled with tears. "Thank you," she whispers. "Thank you for reminding me who I am." Thorne's rage boils over. He raises his hand, ready to unleash the full force of his power on Clara. But before he can act, the ground begins to shake. The attic walls tremble, dust and debris falling from the ceiling. The storm outside has reached its peak. The wind howls like a banshee. The snow rages against the cabin walls, and the very foundations of the building seem to be groaning under the strain. And then the roof collapses. A massive section of the attic's ceiling gives way, plunging the room into chaos. Snow and debris rain down on the struggling figures below. The wind whips through the opening, extinguishing the candles, plunging the attic into darkness. In the confusion, Thorne loses his grip on the skull. It falls to the floor, rolling across the debris-strewn attic. Clara lunges for it, her fingers brushing against its cold, smooth surface. As she touches the skull, a surge of energy courses through her body. Images flash through her mind, visions of the past, the secrets of the Thorne family, the true nature of the ritual. She understands now. The skull isn't just a vessel. It's a conduit for the ancient energies, a conduit for the power that Thorne craves. But it's also a conduit for vengeance. She picks up the skull, her hand trembling. She looks at Thorne, his face contorted with fury, his eyes burning with obsession. She sees the evil that has consumed him, the darkness that has twisted his soul, and she knows what she has to do. She raises the skull above her head, her eyes filled with a fierce determination. "This isn't about power," she shouts, her voice echoing through the collapsing attic. "This is about justice." And then she smashes the skull against the floor. The effect is immediate and devastating. A shockwave of energy explodes from the shattered skull, ripping through the attic, throwing Thorne against the wall. The air crackles with power. The very atmosphere seems to vibrate with an ancient force. The storm outside suddenly subsides. The wind dies down. The snow stops falling, and a single ray of moonlight breaks through the clouds, illuminating the shattered skull on the floor. Thorne lies unconscious, his body broken, his power gone. Clara stands beside him, her face pale but resolute. She's no longer under his control. She's free. Professor Vance rushes to her side, her heart filled with relief and gratitude. "Clara," she whispers, her voice choked with emotion. "You did it. You stopped him." Clara nods, her eyes filled with tears. "It's over," she says. "It's finally over. The storm has passed. The evil has been vanquished. The truth has been revealed. And the locked room mystery has been solved. The motive was revenge, the connection bloodline. The killer, a descendant of the original evil, seeking to complete a ritual begun a century ago. But the final key wasn't power, but the will of a descendant, the courage to break free from the past. If you like the story, please subscribe and share with your friends, and don't forget to comment us.